For as long as cannons have existed, mankind has spent countless hours coming up with creative things to fire out of them. From the classic rounded granite to iron shot, there seems to be no limit to human ingenuity. Credit to whoever first decided to replace a single shot with multiple smaller ones, as it was a stroke of genius. Going all the way back to the early 1400s, what would become known as grape shot was used to effectively mow down lines of infantry from close and medium ranges. In fact, being able to fire a number of shots in a shotgun-like attack was so advantageous that governments used this weapon against rebels and disobedient colonials. Grape shot, or sometimes known as canister shot, ended up being influential across major conflicts from the French Revolution, the American Revolution, US Civil War, and even the rallying order, "Double shot your guns and give them hell," became a campaign slogan that General Zachary Taylor used to win the US presidency following his defeat of Santa Anna in the Mexican-American War. With such a long and fabled history, it only makes sense that grape shot and canister shot would continue to be used into the future. Across the human-settled galaxy of the 31st and 32nd centuries, even though the tools of warfare have advanced to the point that battles are won and lost using terrific and terrible walking machines, the humble grape shot still has a place of prominence. LBX brand autocannons, large enough to be placed onto battle mechs, started showing up in the Terran hegemony designs in the late 2500s. These mech-sized shotguns were really just scaled-up proof of concepts from 2,000 years in the past. The cluster rounds from the LBX autocannons proved to be useful for pelting a target and seeking to cause damage in already compromised areas. Over the course of the Succession Wars, the ability to produce the LB-10X gradually eroded due to the destruction of production facilities as well as limitations in the materials needed to produce the high-strength, low-weight alloys that dissipated heat well. It wasn't until the discovery of the Helm memory core in 3028 did the LB-10X start to see a resurgence. More production lines across multiple planets allowed for refits of mechs that had been built with the standard autocannon 10, which weighed more and took up more critical space. This would be incredibly important following 3049 with the arrival of the clans. Many Inner Sphere mechs were rushed important upgrades in engines, heat sinks, and the weaponry in hope of stopping the invasion. Mechs like the Hatchetman, Orion, and Centurion were frequently upgraded with the LB-10X to give the mech a more flexible build. Along with the ERPPC, the LB-10X is one of the most common 3050 Inner Sphere mech weapon upgrades. Several notable upgrades for 3025 Inner Sphere mechs in the 3050 technical readout are the Hatchetman, Cataphract, Orion, and Enforcer. Good times had by all. The Inner Sphere version of the LB-10X will run you 11 tons and takes up 6 critical locations on the battle mech. The clan version is just slightly improved at 10 tons and 5 critical locations. All the other bits of the weapon are the same between the two versions. As far as that goes, it's much closer than most concerning clan and Inner Sphere weaponry. There's no minimum range, and at long range the LB-10X can fire up to 18 hexes, which is entirely respectable for most tabletop play. 1 ton of ammo includes 10 shots, and it's possible for the LB-10X to fire either standard autocannon ammo or the cluster rounds. The rules dictate that the ammo types have to be in full ton increments, and the player must declare which type of ammo he or she is using before any to-hit dice rolls are taken. In the spirit of celebration of the LB-10X, here is my special Cauldron-born Config L for love LB-10X. I took the primary configuration, ripped out all the equipment, and then wept, for there were so many worlds out there and I had yet to conquer one. After that, I tossed on a couple of LB-10Xs into the arms, saw it needed some more backup fire, and added 3 medium pulse lasers. This thing is going to make light and medium mechs rue the day. Rue the day, people. Rue. Anyway, there were 3 tons of cluster ammo and 1 ton of normie AC-10 just for fun. That's a good 20 shots for each gun, which should be plenty for most fights. After pulling out the now excessive number of heat sinks, I dropped the remaining 3 tons of weight into additional armor, since this Ebon Jaguar is going to be stomping around in the fray. I took the mech out for a spin in Mega Mech in a couple of battles, and it performed pretty well. Being able to use the 1 ton of standard AC ammo when appropriate is helpful for punching through that armor. After all, that LB cluster ammo is great for seeking criticals and getting that occasional head hit. In both matches, I put the Ebon Jaguar up against a couple of medium Inner Sphere mechs. With some ebb and flow, the LB-10s did their job well as the 3 medium pulse lasers munched through the armor. Once that armor was breached, the critical hits mounted quickly. Before we go, I do want to talk about the other LBX weapons, including the 2s, 5s, and 20s. For the most part, the 2s and 5s are a struggle for me to justify putting on a mech. They really do feel like they're not worth the weight that's needed in comparison to their damage output. The Inner Sphere LB2s weigh 6 tons before you even start slapping ammo in there. Pumping out only 2 damage per turn for that much investment is really not worth the effort. At 8 tons and taking up 5 critical spots, the LB5X is half as effective as the LB10 cousin with only 3 tons of added weight. So oftentimes, if you're going to spend the weight and put on an LBX weapon, the 10 is just going to be a better option, even if it means finding 3 tons elsewhere. Now, let's talk about the LB20X. Pull up a chair. If you're already in a chair, pull it up further. The LB20X is a monster of a weapon. Like its smaller cousins, it can fire standard AC-20 rounds as well as the cluster munitions. However, the possibility of hitting a target with 20 opportunities to puncture armor and cause critical hits can't be undervalued. The autocannon weighs a hefty 14 tons for the Inner Sphere version and 12 for the clans, and the LB20X is a big investment for any mech designer. It takes up 11 critical spots in the Inner Sphere version, which means you're going to have to put it in a torso. Ammo runs 5 shots per ton, so it's likely you're going to need to devote at least 2 tons to make the investment worthwhile. What all this boils down to is a pretty steep commitment to a bit of hitting your target with the biggest shotgun ever created. Notable mechs that use the LB20X to great effect include the Bushwhacker BSW-L1, which coupled the weapon with an ER large laser and bulked up the armor to make it a nasty close-range brawler. The Cestus 7A was a variant that swapped out the Gauss rifle for an LB20X in hope of making it a close-range fighter. On Solaris in 3066, the massive Colossus arena mech was packed with X-pulse lasers and an LB20X on its 95-ton frame. Now that mech could cause some serious emotional and physical damage. One more, and then I'm done, I promise. The Hunchback, already known for carrying a big cannon in that right shoulder, was upgraded in a substantive overhaul in 3058 to give it endo steel, an XL engine, jump jets, and that LB20X. It's an interesting gamble to go with that XL engine, but shifting from a standard AC-20 to the LB20X does give the mech some flexibility. Plus, a couple of pulse lasers added to the mix can't be a bad thing. All things considered, I'm really glad that the LBX line of autocannons is in the game. After all, this video is titled as a love letter. While not always the most effective tool for the job, they can be quite powerful in select situations. That can be said about many mechs and weapons in the universe of Battletech, and that's a very good thing. I'm not a min-maxer type player and really appreciate that there are unique and atypical ways to bring pain to the opposing side of the battlefield. As always, thanks for watching, especially the Ko-Fi subscribers who are keeping this venture going and offer up some really good ideas in the Discord channel. Do you have a favorite mech that is equipped with an LBX autocannon? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to watch something else, I'd suggest the video on fun advanced melee weapons, which should be visible on your screen right now. Now go, take care, be awesome, you can make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.